Cut me some firewood. Got me some firewood going here. Yes, what I'm doing. Here. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean safety? Hey. No. No. Gotta be giving some firewood. Gotta stay warm this winter. Got me some silky katana boy. Indeed. Get me a cold one. Saw me some wood and split it up later today. All right. Hey guys, Coach here. You guys get 5 seconds to tell me exactly what is wrong with the picture that you see in front of you. Well, if you didn't catch it, if you did not catch it, I was a little out of character. Anybody who's watched this channel for any length of time, you know that that's kind of not me. But this week we are talking about protection. Maybe mom and dad told you about protection when you were younger, but it's not that kind of protection. Not at all. What we're talking about is protection, personal safety when you're doing this landscaping thing, whether you're doing construction, whether you're doing maintenance, and even in some cases when you're doing harvesting. Are you with me? I'm glad you're here today. There will be no Bobby Lee beyond this point. It'll be back to Coach. And let's get started. So I don't know about some of you, but I came from the generation where my parents didn't really realize a lot of the safety concerns that go along with the modern day people that we are today. And when I say safety concerns, I'm talking about smoking and I'm talking about sun protection. I was raised by a dad. Who basically cloned himself as a sun god. He loved being out there topless every weekend, doing the yard, doing the cars, you know, sunbathing by the pool and all that stuff. Loved it. You know, he always couldn't wait for summer to come around and be all bronzy. And as most boys do, and obviously girls too, they follow in their parents' footsteps. So my brother and I, heck, we were running around all summer long. We had nothing but t-shirts and shorts on the whole damn time. And we followed in Dad's footsteps. We were bronzy little kiddos running around the horse ranch. And I'll tell you what, it was quite a lifestyle at the time. Later on in life, my dad was slapped with reality. And I'm not kidding here. Literally slapped by reality. He had come down with really good cases of skin cancer all over his face and his upper body. And over the course of better part of 30 years, he was constantly in the dermatologist, getting scraped, treated, and eventually, later in life, he was actually having reconstructive surgery because some of the skin cancer had metastasized in his face and his jaw area. Actually had to have reconstructive surgery. Was it all preventable? Absolutely. We don't know what we don't know. But for any of the viewers who are watching this one, I'd hate to have some of these protection things slip through the cracks and end up with problems for you guys, either immediately or over the course of time. So that's what I'm concentrating on this week for you. Protection. Protection from the elements, protection from injury, because like Bobby Lee over there demonstrated, we don't go out and start using pruning saws and stuff with nothing more than sandals, flip-flops, rolled up t-shirt, and a beer in one hand. That's not the way we approach this stuff. We approach it smart. We only get one life. We only get one body. By God, take care of it. And by doing something as simple as mowing the lawn, or pruning the tree out front, or just being out socializing with the family and friends in the backyard on a Saturday afternoon, you got to make sure we take protection. In this day and age, very, very important. So, I'm going to be right back with something a little more conducive to protective landscape approach. In 1, 2, 3. If I could be like Dad, well, you know, we all learn from our parents, both good things and very much bad things. And in this particular case, I was in my teens when I learned Dad was starting to have a few problems. And as I got into my 20s and I got married and had a house and was starting to take care of things, initially, I was out there like Dad. Basically zero protection. And then when I learned about my dad's advancing skin cancer, I woke up. I had kind of an awakening, a little epiphany. And I took a left turn when Dad took a right turn. And from that point on, considering a lot of the outdoor recreation, outdoor activities that I partaked in all my 20s, 30s, and 40s, I learned. It was a very harsh lesson to watch a dad deteriorate. But, and for all intent and purposes, he taught me a very harsh lesson. And it's not just sun protection, although that is very, very important. You can see Coach is now back in his landscape garb, you know, long sleeve shirts, hat, sunscreen on, jeans, even boots. So when I'm partaking in landscape, despite the temperatures, I always have some form of clothing protection and sunscreen protection. The other thing is, I generally do it in a wide brim hat to even keep everything off of my face. And when I'm doing pruning and other chores that could possibly really have, shall we say, bad consequences when we least expect it, that Murphy, that son of a, if I ever meet him. But when doing something pruning, you know, like something, a big pruning saw, or even when I'm working on landscaping equipment, I'll generally always have protective hand gear on at all times. You know, I haven't always done it. There have been slip-ups, like human frailties that we are. I have opened up my hands and my legs a few times when I least expected it. That one time that I was dragging stuff out to the dump trailer and there was one piece that was a little too big, and I pulled out a pruning saw similar to my Katana boy here, and I started going at it. No gloves, short sleeve shirts, and that pruning saw jumped off of there and went right across the back of my hand. And as a result, I ended up with 4 or 5 terry strips. And so take a few minutes, spend a few dollars, teach the kids, teach the missus, teach the mister. We don't go out and do this stuff without taking proper precautions. You know, the good Lord gave us one body, and he gave us some really great senses that we have. Common sense being the lowest dosage of all of them for most people. But the other thing is, you only get 2 eyeballs. And if you're doing things like pruning, chainsawing, any upward stuff, consider some protective glasses. They're going to protect your sight. And I'll guarantee you, if you're out and about with somebody mowing and having a side discharge mower, you don't want to be on the side of the discharge, because if it hits a rock, if it hits anything, it can send it like a missile, and you're going to be in the pathway of harm, and we don't want that. So protect your eyes, protect your skin, protect your body, and for gosh sakes, if you're doing chainsawing, I don't have my Husqvarna equipment with me. It's in the other trailer. But if I did, I would suggest ear protection, and I would suggest chaps if you're going to be doing chainsawing. Now, some of you, it's the summertime. We're out there traveling. We're camping, and we're enjoying, probably with the family. And some of the things we want to do is we want to build a campfire, okay? And you have to go out and either bring that wood with you, buy that wood, or chop it up when you get there. Most of the time, guys, I'm talking to you mostly, we go out there in shorts and flip-flops like I opened the episode in. And we go out there and we start gathering, sawing, chopping. So then we're showing how the kids should be doing it. And we get our little hatchet or our axe, our chainsaw, whatever you might have, and we start processing the wood up for the evening campfire, roasting those s'mores and doing all the good stuff. And we go out there in shorts and flip-flops. Don't do it when you're on vacation. Don't do it when you're at home. Don't do it in winter pruning. Don't do it ever, because you're sending the message to the next generation and you are rolling the dice. You know, the ERs just aren't filled with COVID patients. They're really not. They're also filled with many, many, many industrial, recreational, and domestic accidents all the time, often related to a lack of one of those senses. And can you guess which one it is? It's common sense. Common sense and that complacency factor that we throw into life sometimes. I've done it for 100 times, nothing ever happened, coach. Don't worry about it, I'm fine. Until that one time. Or worse yet, when the little one gets a hold of the axe, gets a hold of the electric chainsaw, gets a hold of the pruning saw, and they're gonna be like dad, okay? And the accident happens. And that's a low point in any father's, any parent's life when the accident happens to them because of your poor example. So, on the weekend, on that Saturday, on that vacation, when you're out there and you're having to do something that has some physical injury risk to it, I don't want any of my subscribers, and I don't want any viewer that happens to watch this to go out there and just take that chance. You know, unless it's life and death, you know, and you're having to do it for protect your life, I guess. That would be the only reason. But most of us have the ability to put on a little protective clothing, put on a 60-second check to see before you go out there with that saw and you're pruning up the fruit orchard, or you're pruning up the olive orchard, or you're chopping firewood for the family, whatever it might be, okay? Just warning you, some of the pictures you're about to see are a little bit graphic, you know, and if you don't like seeing human injury, maybe you want to fast forward through it. But these injuries are serious, and this is what happens. You know, I have been in a short-term career where I saw many, many accidents. I really have. I've seen people killed as a result of industrial accidents and recreational accidents, and I don't want that to happen to you guys. Another little story that might help bring this home a little bit. Many, many years ago, I came across a young guy, young landscape zealot, I'll call him. His name is Joe. And Joe I knew from a teenager. And he ended up leaving high school, and instead of going off the college path, he went off the self-employment path. And he developed a very successful, highly successful landscape maintenance business. And Joe was very good at it. He was good with people, he was good with employees, and he was good with his machinery and the way he presented himself. It was rather impressive. Well, I lost touch with Joe after I moved away from the town. And I ran back into him when I came back to visit, and we sat down and we had a conversation. And I noticed that Joe was talking like this. "Hey, Matt, it's so good to see you. Man, I haven't seen you in a long time." And we were literally 4 feet apart. It was, it was kind of odd. And I'm talking to Joe, and after about 5 minutes of this very long side of the conversation from Joe, I said, "Joe, why are you almost yelling at me?" And he looked at me with kind of a puzzled face, and I realized what it was. Joe had not used any ear protection for 20 years operating hand power tools. Hedgers, edgers, mowers, blowers, never had earmuffs on, earplugs in, or anything else. Joe had a tremendous amount of hearing loss. He really did. If I talked to him like I'm talking to you guys right now, he would constantly move in towards me to hear better. And this was a young kid that was, at that point, in his late 30s. And he was constantly doing this, turning his head. And I realized, I said, "Joe, man," I said, "how's your hearing, buddy?" And he's going, "Well, you know, it could be better." And from that point on, I guess it was a wake-up call or something, because I saw Joe a couple more times before I left the state of California. And I noticed most of the time he was wearing ear protection when he was running machinery. Now his business, you know, it grew a little bit, and he had some employees, so he wasn't always at the end of the mower or the blower or the edger or anything else anymore. But when he was, he did have earplugs in. And hey, You know, if he had not, it's one of those senses. Imagine going through when it could have been prevented. It wasn't a birth defect or an event that caused deafness. This was a long, protracted event that he failed to recognize from age 18 to 38. And that's a lot of time with a lot of decibels going in on those eardrums and everything else. So remember, it can happen to you. It might happen to you, and I do not want it to happen to you. So I think in this day and age, parents are much more aware of the skin issues that can come about from sun exposure. I think we're a lot more in tune to that. I know that we use SPF sunscreens that are much, much higher. Maestro? The one that we carry around is SPF 70 now. Now I can remember when I was getting involved in outdoor activities and landscaping and that kind of stuff, I think it was like SPF 15 or something like that. Very, very low amounts. So now we're dealing with SPF 70, SPF 100, and it's a necessary evil, it really is. The best way you could possibly protect yourself, especially during the hot summer months, because not everybody wants to get out there and do stuff in long pants and long heavy shirts and big heavy hat during the summertime. So if you're out there in short sleeves, make sure you at least protect your arms and your face and whatnot. If you're doing anything in shorts, I strongly suggest that you stop and go inside. If you choose to do that, at least protect your feet with some type of protective boot, preferably steel-toed, like these guys. And, you know, when you're doing stuff like pruning, construction, trenching, mowing, edging, anything with a metal blade, I strongly suggest that you always have those gloves on and be able to set that example. Like I said, the last thing you want is for you as a parent to get away with it and then something happen to your kiddos. It's just not right. Ladies, you're no exception. A lot of single moms out there, am I right? So if you still have a home and you're still charged with the duties of taking care of landscaping out there, don't go out there in your flip-flops. Don't go out there in just your ponytail and your tank top. You know, you may look good, but you're setting yourself up for a disaster. And if you're the sole provider for those kids of yours, make sure that you go shopping and get the right gear. Get a pair of protective boots, some long pants, most everybody has those, and some gloves and a wide brim hat. Take care of your skin. You guys always pride yourselves on skin care, facial skin care, arms, hands, etc. Don't ruin it by going out and having an accident in the landscape. So when you're considering a summertime landscape project, whether it's 4 hours, 4 days, or 4 weeks, make sure that part of your plan in getting that project off the ground is that you and everybody who enters into that project zone has some form of protection. Don't have the family and your friends show up on demolition day and people have, you know, open-toed sandals, maybe a ball cap on backwards, no protective clothing. Give it in advance. Tell them, hey, show up in your heavy-duty clothes, in your protective clothing. You know, it's one thing to go in there and start ripping and tearing, but let me tell you, a landscape has a way of ripping and tearing back. And the last thing you want is have mom and dad, bro and sis, best friends from down the street come over and one of those people get hurt, and maybe even seriously, because they just didn't think it was going to happen to them. Who's going to feel like crap? It's sure as hell going to be you guys. So that's all I got for you today. Remember, going out into the landscape is a risk. There's a risk in everything. Crossing the damn street's a risk, but you can very much prevent all risk and mitigate it down to next to nothing by using a little common sense, a little knowledge of the tools that you're going to be using, and some protective clothing, not only to protect your skin, protect your eyes, protect your ears, and protect your family around you. My name is Matt. You can call me Coach. I'll catch you guys next week. Don't forget to check out the plants of the week. And if you like this video, check out some of the educational ones I've got on the channel as well. Don't forget, something that I've seen a lot of people are perusing the channel, but you're not subscribing. Hit that damn subscribe button for me, would you? And the channel is growing. Now we're through the spring season. It's slowed down a little bit, which we always expect, but hey, smash that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And let's push this thing past 4,000, probably before the end of the month of August. Thank you guys. Any questions, drop them in the comments. You can email me, youryardcoach@gmail.com. Take care. See you next week.